Align Ed New Orleans, Agenda for Children, and Ochsner Children's for their commitment and support. Teachers and school leaders, enjoy the summer break.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump is calling the Obama Presidential Center a disaster, blaming cost overruns on hiring woke workers.
And he said something to the effect, I only want DEI, I only want woke. He wants woke people to build it. Well, he got woke people, and they have massive cost overruns.
He claimed construction has stopped due to a lawsuit. The Obama Foundation denied the claim, saying the project remains on track for a 2026 opening. The Federal Reserve wraps up a two-day meeting today with a decision on interest rates. The central bank is widely expected to hold its benchmark short-term borrowing rate steady. And a jury is expected to be seated today in the Sean Diddy Combs sex crimes trial. The embattled rapper and business mogul is facing life in prison on several charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering in New York City. Prosecutors allege he threatened and coerced women for sex. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning.
Wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Wake up, New Orleans. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Nyron Sanders, and my co-pilot this morning, Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning, New Orleans.
Listen, so much has happened since the last time we were here. Yeah, just as of yesterday. What I will say is the show is dynamic. We're going to talk to some dynamic folk. We'll hear from Kim DeLosa with the mental health of community leaders and community caretakers, talking about the Insanity of Giving Back initiative, which is happening this Friday at Boomtown in honor of Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. We're going to celebrate teachers. Yes, teachers. The teachers make the world go round. So there are some phenomenal teachers who are going to be celebrated in honor of Dr. Ashanta Wyatt this Friday at Boomtown, 9 p.m. And Kim DeLosa will be here to talk about that. And at the 8:20 mark, we'll hear from, he won't be on the phone calling in today. He'll be calling in as a guest, Reverend Calhoun and friends, talking about this Community of Hope initiative led by faith leaders in the Orleans Parish District Attorney's Office. But right now, we have an update on the sanitation contract. We've had Councilman Freddie King on. We've had Council President J.P. Morrell on. And we've had Troy Henry from Henry Consulting on to talk about the trash dispute. And all three folk, we had three different purviews. Well, maybe Councilman Freddie King and Council President J.P. Morrell's purview were more aligned, but it was a stark difference between what they said and what Troy Henry said.
In terms of keeping IV Waste as the trash provider for the French Quarter District.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's what I got from their alignment, because I heard from Councilman King that that's what the residents and the business folk want to keep it in place.
Which is why he wants to do that.
But the alignment that I got from hearing those two talk is this idea that Henry Consultant shouldn't have the trash contract because of the inconsistencies, I would say, inside of the contract, where there are things in the contract that no other contractor has ever had. These sorts of things. There was so many different. I mean, to hear the two sides, you would think they weren't talking about the same issue, because there's stark differences.
Well, very stark, because when City Council President J.P. Morrell talked with us, one of the things he said is, why would you prepay somebody for work that they haven't done? Prepay. Now, when Troy Henry came, he said we wouldn't get prepaid. That's the filing of an invoice so that we don't get caught up in that vicious city cycle of not getting paid.
And see, this is where I have an issue with that, because as astute as both of these men are, I know each of them knows the difference between a prepayment and an invoice. And everybody knows on the invoice you could say net 30, you could say net 15, you could say pay up on receipt, however you want to do it. But if I'm invoicing you, I'm asking you to pay me for the work that I've done the month prior, is what Mr. Henry said. But what our council president said is that, in essence, Mr. Henry wanted to be paid up front for work that had not been done. That is two totally different concepts. And somewhere in the middle is where the truth is, because a judge has now decided that the contract should move forward. Am I correct?
That is correct. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals shot down the City Council's request to stop Mayor Cantrell's $73 million deal with Henry Consulting for sanitation services in the French Quarter and downtown beginning August 1. So as far as the Cantrell administration is concerned, there is no IV waste contract after the end of July. And City Council was arguing that's not true because we haven't signed it. The judge said, you're wrong. The mayor has the authority to stop the contract.
Who's the judge?
And move forward. I'll get the judge's name in a moment.
Yeah, because I think that the last time the council president was here as well, it almost seemed as if he was disagreeing with the initial ruling, and he was saying that if Henry Consulting won at this level, what would be the next steps for them? I wasn't even clear on that. It almost felt like he still felt like they wouldn't be able to move forward even with this particular ruling.
Right. Yeah. Because from JP is an attorney.
Yes.
And from his perspective, as long as there is a legal process in the courts, you can't move forward. You shouldn't move forward because the entirety of the case has not been resolved.
So
this panel, and it wasn't one judge, it's a panel of judges.
Okay.
This panel said that's not correct. That you can move forward, Miss Mayor. And so as far as the court is concerned, the mayor can move forward with Henry Consulting for August 1. So now either that's the end of that with Ivy Waste and Henry Consulting for now, or City Council can consider making another move and possibly going at this another way. But the way they went at it didn't work with the court.
So to the council president's point, he was saying that as long as there's litigation, that things should not move forward, which is why it kind of felt like it was up in the air until this ruling came through. So now my question will be, since this ruling has come through by this panel of judges, is the council going to then appeal that so that the process can again be kind of stifled and not move forward?
We haven't heard from City Council yet. I think this is not the decision they were expecting.
But I mean, is that the sentiment of what he's saying about as long as there's litigation, it should not move forward?
Yes, that's my understanding of what he was talking about from the City Council perspective. And the mayor's legal team obviously convinced the court to nullify part of the Orleans Parish School Board settlement. So that's connected because who funds the school board settlement and how much of it, and then who's getting a contract and who funds that? Because we can't be in a position where two companies are picking up trash in the French Quarter.
Well, there
and
won't.
downtown,
There shouldn't be two. According to Mr. Henry, when he was here, he said that the emergency contract will be basically null and void at the moment when he picks it up. So there shouldn't be two. That, to my understanding, he said it's already been canceled. They're just finishing out the whatever time and date stamp is on the end of service for him to then pick it up. Yeah. So there shouldn't be two folk trying to pick the trash up. Only one is contractually obligated to pick it up at a set time, right? So I can't see Ivy Waste continuing to do work if there's no contractual obligation to get paid for say work.
There you go. To get paid.
So yeah, so I don't see that. happening. So is this the end of the sanitation drama? Is how they identified it in the article. They call it drama in the article. Is this the end of it?
I think city
Or is it
council,
to be determined?
I think city council cares so much about this that they're probably already strategized yesterday and Monday night.
But care about what?
And
Care about what?
They don't want Henry Consulting to have this contract at all. And because one of the scenarios was, well, IV Waste can continue this contract through the end of the year. But the mayor has a contract that starts August 1.
But the courts have
So-
already weighed in as well.
They
So
have.
I'm
That's right. Yeah. So they're going to have to look for another angle if they want to find a way
because
to
what
stop
we
this.
don't want to find ourselves doing is ignoring court orders, like our federal folk are seeming to do. Like court orders and judges' rulings don't seem to matter to certain administrations, and we don't want to get ourselves tangled up in that mess. So if a judge has already weighed in, a panel of judges have already weighed in, then I don't know what that means about the city council cares so much. Why? Where is the why? Like, what is really going on here? If you've done the legalities of it and the legal outcome is that it can move forward, then are you going to appeal the panel of judges and continue to litigate this thing, which is going to cost additional monies that we're supposed to not have?
Yeah. J.P. Morrell told the Times-Picayune that they're considering taking it to the state Supreme Court. So that's a possible move, not a definite move. That would prolong this more.
I want to hear. I wonder what the folk who were on what's the guys the other guy, the black gentleman,
Richards.
Mr. Richards. I'm wondering what the Richards supporters are thinking and feeling, because a lot of the folk who called into this station were saying they felt like the only loser in quotation marks, or the only person who wasn't making out as he should have, is Mr. Richards. But now Mr. Richards has an agreement with Henry Consulting
For 22% of the contract.
So I'm wondering if the Richards supporters still don't believe that he's getting enough of the pie, or are they satisfied with him being a part of the equation? And do they support the judge's ruling, considering they're supporting Mr. Richards? I wonder what Mr. Richards like, because we've not heard from him at all in this equation. I would love to hear his take on it. I mean, I guess at this point, Mr. Richards just want to lay low and work because it's just so muddy at this point. But the panel of judges have ruled, and that is the ruling of the court. So I guess it's yet to be seen what the council will do in response.
Yeah, and remember, the city council president, when he was here, said that one option would be that keep IV Waste through the end of the year and bid a new contract, which would mean Troy Consulting's
Have
contract.
to start the whole process
Yes,
over.
right.
But so that's not something that Henry
Why
Consulting
would
is
they be
going to want to
interested
do.
in that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just money. But again, I do take a lot of I do have a lot of empathy about Mr. Richards' party here, so I can see why folk are saying that they feel like he's the only person who really hasn't been able to. His position hasn't really been amplified in the whole situation as far as from start to finish where he fits in. But I mean, it is good to hear that they've worked out a deal and they're going to work together. But I'm curious as to see what the next steps will be as it relates to what the city council is going to do.
Yeah, we'll
But-
have to find out
there's your
from the city
update.
council president or
Yeah.
otherwise if they're going to pursue that state Supreme Court
Yeah.
path or not. And what other path would they have? I don't know.
I don't know, but that's the update there. But before we move forward, hearing from our clerk of court as it relates to this challenge to the millage, I want to give you guys an update about a case we talked about very early on here on WBOK, which was the beating of Tyree Nichols by now former Memphis cops. We all watched it. I saw the video. I'm certain most of you saw the video. So there was no way on the planet did I ever think for 1 millisecond that these former police officers will be found not guilty. But 3 former Memphis cops have been found not guilty of killing Sacramento-born Tyree Nichols.
On all charges.
On all
Acquitted
counts.
of all.
I believe it was 7 counts. All 7 counts, they were found not guilty. It says the jury described by the Associated Press as appearing all white, found. I don't even want to name the 3 gentlemen because I just don't even care about their names. What I care about is this egregious miscarriage of justice. This is something which I think is going to amplify a much broader conversation, especially when you have the juxtaposition of this father who has taken what he considers to be vengeance out on the police department that killed his son. And so there's a father who had an 18-year-old son. They invited him in to see the body cam footage of the murder of his son. The day after they showed him the footage, he was driving somewhere and saw a police officer directing traffic, and he used his vehicle and he ran the police officer down. And this is a conversation that is happening all across this country right now, because the question then becomes, where do you find justice if you have the killing of a person on tape? Because we beg for body cameras, but because we say we need evidence of what's happening. We can't just take the word of the police officers. Now the body cam footage, now the tape is no longer enough. This was reminiscent in my mind of the Rodney King beating. Mm-hmm. That's what it was reminiscent of. And even in that case, I was much younger, but even in that case, I was like, there's nowhere in the world these folk are going to walk. I mean, it doesn't matter what he's done. It doesn't justify what is happening to him. And to watch these black men beat this black man to death, and then to hear not guilty of second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, official misconduct, and official oppression. The verdict followed a 9-day trial in Memphis. The jury, described as a mostly white jury from Hamilton County, which is 250 miles east of Chattanooga, spent nearly 8.5 hours deliberating after more than a week of testimony at the Memphis trial before returning a verdict. So it don't matter what you heard. What did your eyes see? So what did you hear that made what you saw null and void?
Yeah, the defense attorneys are outraged with this.
The verdict. Defense attorneys or the prosecutors?
Well, Ben Crump and his colleagues are outraged with this. And the NAACP president said it's another indication of injustice, and this has to be changed in Congress. But we know the Congress we have right now. It's probably going to take a few years before we get.
I don't think we're going to get anything, because to me, I think this is a precursor for what the Trump administration wants anyway. He wants immunity for police officers. He wants them to have the quote unquote freedom to do their job. And if this is the definition of doing your job, then what is the police force for? Because it's definitely not about serving and protecting. What is it for? So we could go back to the days of the slave patrol. If this is the kind of work of a police department, then what are they for? You're going to have straight lawlessness, because nobody is going to sit here and continue to take this. We watch you execute a man because he didn't pull over, like he fled. This is what happened. Nicholas fled, being pulled after it says Nichols fled after being pulled from his car and was later subdued and struck repeatedly with fists, boots, a taser, and a baton. So you beat him to death because he ran from you.
Right.
Is there not protocol for that?
Right.
Is there not training for that? Running from you does not warrant a death sentence.
And he told them, I haven't done anything wrong. But they were.
But you know why we run? You know why we run?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially being a black man in America, who doesn't get fearful in a situation where a police officer and another police officer and another police officer is fully buffed with guns,
Armed to the
coming
teeth.
after
They're armed
you.
to the teeth.
I mean, and you're just driving along or walking along. You're not expecting
I don't
anything
want them
like
to have
this.
another peaceful day on earth. I want everywhere they go, I want somebody to remind them of just who they are, because they are murderers. And it doesn't matter to me that they're black men, because it didn't matter to them that they was beaten to death a black man.
Yeah, there's not
I have a problem with this one.
Yeah.
And then for the paramedics to take 20 minutes to show up.
Yeah, it's not a black issue. There's a blue issue.
20 minutes because they think they blue before they black.
Mm-hmm.
But that same system that absolved them of the murder of this black man is the same system that's gonna show them that they black too.
Mm-hmm.
You think you won because you won because this to me is a precursor for what the Trump administration want as it relates to police officers and them killing unarmed folk. I just don't like it. I don't care for it, and I don't want them to have another peaceful day. I want everywhere they go somebody to remind them of who Tyree Nichols was and the fact that they killed him.
I will
on tape.
I will say, and I know you don't want to mention their names, but I will say there was a different verdict with the fraternity
Of Omega
that
Psi
they
Phi.
are members of.
Mm-hmm.
They are no longer members of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. They used to be my brothers, and they are not. So
I'm sick to my stomach about it, but we have to go to break. On the other side of the break, we'll hear from our clerk of court, Darren Lombard, as it relates to this challenge to the outcome of the millage that passed by 2 votes. I'm
votes.
excited to hear
Yeah.
from Mr. Lombard.
What
have him.
happened?
Yeah, we'll have him on the other
What's
side of the
about to
break.
happen today?
This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
all day long.
Good morning and happy Thursday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. Some good news to start your Thursday. A flood watch has ended for the metro area, but unfortunately, cleanup efforts and power restoration continues this morning. About 1,000 people are still without power, primarily on the west bank of Jefferson Parish. And across southeast Louisiana, strong winds and heavy rain toppled trees and caused other damage from New Orleans to the North Shore. Then big changes could be coming to the NOPD's consent decree. Sources tell WDSU that 6 Department of Justice lawyers who were involved with the federal reforms have been removed from their positions. To some, it's an indication that the federal reforms may be ending sooner rather than later. President Donald Trump has pushed the Department of Justice to end all federal consent decrees. The NOPD is in a 2-year sustainment period right now after the consent decree started back in 2012. And finally, thanks to New Orleans City Councilman Freddie King, today is Cam Jordan Day. King says this is to recognize the Saint Star for all of his contributions both on and off the field serving our community. Cam will receive a proclamation with several special guests in attendance, including Saints and Pelicans owner Gail Benson. It's happening at City Council Chambers at 9 a.m. today. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU. Have a great day.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Crowns and Hops, a black and woman-owned brewer based in Inglewood, California, is making it part of its mission to pave the way for more diversity in the craft beer space. Benny Ashburn is co-founder of Crowns and Hops. She says one of her goals is to help redefine what diversity means in the beer business.
When we first started 7-8 years ago and we had conversations with some of the beer associations and leaders, their best understanding of diversity was not enough white women. So it was at that point that I knew being not only the face and a trusted voice as a leader inside of craft beer would then provide more comfort to the black females and that do drink beer and want to be a part of this community.
Ashburn is helping to pave the way for more black founders in beer with the help of Samuel Adams. Crowns and Hops is the latest winner of the Brewing and Business Experience Ship from Sam Adams. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Ooh, ma. What was that?
That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Okay, raise your hand if you want to make your life a little bit easier. Great. Now raise your other hand if you like to be comfortable. Perfect. Now that you have both hands raised, imagine putting on your shoes. And that, folks, right there is your answer to an easier, more comfortable life. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. This is footwear you don't need your hands to put on. They can be raised in the air, and you can just step it and go. Why don't you experience what people can't stop talking about? Life-changing Skechers Slip-ins. Get your Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
NOLA Public Schools is excited for the rest of this 24-25 school year journey with our families, watching our students dive into learning, growth, and success. As the school year continues, our dedicated educators are focused on keeping every student engaged and motivated. Let's keep embracing new challenges, celebrating achievements, and supporting each other to make the rest of this year even more impactful. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS through our social media channels for updates and resources. We're here to help our scholars attend today, achieve tomorrow.
This summer, let your child's creativity shine at Camp Art, New Orleans' most vibrant, arts-driven camp experience for kids ages 4 to 12. Hosted by Beyond the Stage, Camp Art blends visual art, theater, music, dance, and creative writing with New Orleans history and culture. Plus, field trips, guest artists, and camper showcases. With full-day programming before and after care and sessions starting June 9th, it's the perfect fit for working parents. Fun, enriching, unforgettable. Register now at beyondthestagellc.com/campart and follow us on social media at Beyond the Stage LLC.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta White. Shout out to my co-pilot this morning, the Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning, New Orleans, 728.
We're getting ready to jump into conversation with our clerk of court, Mr. Darren Lombard. Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. How are you?
Hello?
And the co-pilot.
Good morning. Can you hear?
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Listen,
ready to get to work on this situation we're about to discuss.
How did we get here?
Yeah,
I mean, who
there's so many questions.
Who can file for a recount? Just forget the who did, but who can file for a recount?
Any person who is a registered voter in the parish's jurisdiction where the election took place, and in this case, is in Orleans Parish.
And is there a requirement that you have to have been a registered voter for 1 day, 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, anything like that, or just if you registered at the last point, you could? That's okay.
The last time I looked at the statute, there was no distinction to a time frame where you had to be, registered to vote, like say for a candidate or something like that. So it stipulated that the gentleman who filed it just had to be a registered voter.
So, is there a stipulation on ensuring that the address? Because I've been a candidate before. I've never challenged an election outcome, but is there anything that says that he has to attest to the information that he's saying he lives at this address? He's registered to vote. Like, is there a form that he fills out that has that attestation part on it? Because
yes, and then,
go ahead.
Our staff checks it with the information with the registrar of voters. So we verify that information before we move forward.
So we verified that he lives at the tavern?
No, there's the address where he's registered to vote is where I don't think he used the same address that was in the letter.
So the 400 Burgundy is not the address he used to challenge the outcome of the millage.
Is that over at the 1300 block of the street?
I'm not understanding your question.
Okay, if not at 400 block, does he live in the 1300 block?
He's registered to vote in all these parishes. That's the best way I can determine that without getting into the legal ramblings.
Okay.
And that's what we're required to check, whether or not, say if Dr. White had done it, we would just check her voter registration from the clerk's standpoint. We would just check her voter registration and verify that she's a registered voter in all these parishes. We don't get into an investigation about that because they would get into some court proceedings and, we would have to verify that. So we're not required to go beyond what is already in the documentation for the Register of Voters office.
So the Register of Voter is the one that does the verification, and you see that they have said this is accurate and true.
Yes. There's a documentation that they fill out that, this is what I'm requesting. This is my name, my address. This is where I'm registered to vote. And, we move on from that point.
So there's another issue that came up during our call with the gentleman who has filed he's contesting the outcome. He made the allegation that he did it because there's something that is not working or not right, or the machinery is not up to standard or not up to par, which is why he feels that the outcome should be invalidated. Can you give us an update on if the voting machines are up to standard, up to par? He's saying that they're not putting out you can't count the individual votes.
There's a segment of voters that think that votes should not be certified unless each and every vote can be individually auditable. And so his point is, if you're doing everything electronic, what is the backup? Can I or somebody else see that this is the vote that I cast and that it has been cast correctly? And he's looking for a backup system. And so he's a part of a community. It's not a large community, but a part of a community that says, unless and until you have that, then how can we trust the election system? And Louisiana is not in sync with that. Now, there are other states that have the same move to electronic voting machines and don't have that backup. So they kind of put an emphasis on paper ballots that you can look at. He doesn't think only paper ballots should be counted, that all ballots should be a part of the recount. So that leads to what you're going to be doing this afternoon. It's not every vote that will be reviewed as a part of the recount, right?
No, you are correct. It is the absentee ballots and the early voting ballots that will be recounted. The machines that are used on election day are digital, and those are done through digital format on a cartridge. And then at the end of the night, we read the cartridge and then transpose that information to the Secretary of State's office. And that is currently how we are required by law in this state to operate. Now, to his point, an audible trail is understandable and reasonable, in my opinion. And, I may be getting in a little flack with that, but I believe that there should be various ways to recount and count votes. And one of the ways is that that other states are using is that you can vote digitally, but there's a paper printout that also verifies your vote.
And we don't do that in Louisiana.
Currently, we do not. The last time I spoke to the Secretary of State, there was a conversation about upgrading to something of that, that type of voting process. And I believe, and I will check back, update you guys later, that's the type of machines that we will be going to. Now, the company, I'm not sure about the vendor that's going to be used and all of that, but I agree with the extra measure of being able to count every vote by some physical measure like paper ballots or something like that.
Well, here's my push, Darian, Mr. Lombard. When I spoke to this gentleman, I have an issue with his stance, because if you feel like, because I agree that we should verify votes. We should make certain that we are, whoever voted, their vote counts. I'm with him there. I will not disagree there. But my issue is, if these are the grounds that you're doing it, why are you pushing it for the millage renewal and not any other election we've had, since you stated that you've been having these concerns since 2016? So why now are you using $2,155 that you don't have to question a 2-vote win when we've had multiple elections since 2016 that you could have raised this issue with in terms of legalities? Why now? So that was my question to him. If you found this issue, which I think is a valid one, that we should count every vote, verify every vote, why are you using your money now to challenge a 2-vote millage renewal?
And this is my personal opinion. I don't know the gentleman's motives, but I would assume that he may be doing it because it's such a close election. And if for some reason something changed with the result, he'd have a much bigger point to make. So, or if the 2 votes went the other way, would you still be challenging the outcome since you voted against the millage, right? Because if the issue is that you don't like the system, then that means no matter the outcome of the vote, you challenge the system. But it doesn't feel to me like he's challenging the system so much as he's challenging the 2 votes, pushing the renewal over into the favor of the sheriff's office, because he voted against the millage. That is a good question on your part.
Yeah,
I'm question.
I'm wondering.
What's the motive, and why would you do it in this case, and would you have done it if the results were different? That's a question he's going to have to answer, and I'm curious about that question.
So what's going to be happening this afternoon with the actual recount?
So just to give you some more information, it is this afternoon at 1:00 at Civil District Court in the old juvenile court section. The Secretary of State, the clerk's office, and the Registrar of Voters was going to be overseeing the process. It was the time was coordinated between us. Once that time is allotted, we go into the courtroom and set it up to where the public or whoever wants to see it, reporters are welcome, just as long as they don't have any recording devices or cameras or anything like that. They're sectioned off nearby the table where they take the ballots and set it up for counting, and they can review or watch the process as it goes along. And if they have any questions, they can ask during that time frame. depending on whether they're requesting or anything like that. But it's a transparent process. You don't get to, stand next to the person that's counting because we don't want it to be a distraction from what they have to do. Mm-hmm. But you get to observe from a reasonable distance the whole process.
So, Mr. Lombard, if you could recall, I moderated the panel that you were present at for the NOF meeting, whereby you mentioned some new voting machines. Where are we with the acquirement of the new voting machines?
I think they're in the beginning steps of the procurement process. We saw those probably maybe 2 years ago, I think, where they had a vendor expo with all the different types of voting machines and how they work and the process by which they're used. And there was one that I and most of my colleagues across the state kind of favored, which they give you a ballot. You walk up to the machine, you put it into the machine, you cast your vote on the machine like you do now. It gives you a screen that shows you exactly how you voted. Then you hit cast vote, and it will print that on the paper that you put in the machine, and will give you an opportunity to look and review it. And if you're okay with your vote and it's accurate, you hit cast vote again, and that document is then put into the back of the machine in the container that holds it. So
would the new machinery actually work to solve the issue that Mr. Foss is having as it relates to verifying that the vote I cast is the vote that was actually counted?
Yes, because we then have two copies. We have a digital copy and we have a hard copy. The digital copy will be tallied on election night. The hard copy, in the event there's a recall, we can pull every one of those hard copies and count them by hand individually.
And here's something to think about too, Mr. Lombard. He also said that if the millage had won by 20 votes, he wouldn't have challenged it. He's challenging it because I guess the number was so small with the two votes that he feels like it could go either way. But again, if your challenge is with the system, it doesn't matter what way the outcome went. You should challenge the outcome because you're challenging the system. You're saying the system is flawed. So I thought that was very telling. I wasn't expecting him to say, oh, no, I wouldn't have challenged it. It shocked me because I thought he was going to say I would have challenged it no matter what because I have an issue with the system itself. He did not say that. He said he wouldn't have challenged it if it was 20 or more votes.
I don't understand. Again, I don't understand his motive, but he does have a point. And, I'm in pretty much total agreement with that. I think we should be able to validate and
no, I
make
agree
sure that
too. You know what else I agree on, Mr. Lombard? I think that we should have a better way of collecting the fees for it. Because see, this cash payment don't feel right to me because more often than not, when you're sniffing out corruption, you have to follow the money. And it's very hard to follow dead presidents. But I could follow the dead presidents if you got to go get that money order or that certified check or something. Or I don't like that. I don't like the fact that folk can just, be put up as pawns in a system when we can't follow their intent. We can't follow their motive. We can't follow the reason or the rationale. Because again, I just like you, I agree that every vote ought to be verified to ensure that we have efficacy and fidelity of our processes, right? I agree with that. What I don't agree with is the fact that we can clog up our systems and folk can use their money. And when you have enough money, you have enough power to pull it off, right? To do something like this when you don't like the outcome of something. So basically what you're saying is the vote of the people doesn't matter if I have enough money to challenge it. But if I don't have enough money and I have a valid challenge, then I can't do it. So something about this entire system has to change because even poor people should have a right to challenge the outcome of something if they feel like their vote was invalidated or their vote didn't count or the vote of the people did not carry. But right now, you got to have money to be able to pull off anything as it relates to politics. something about the structure has to change. So
Yeah,
I agree with him there.
That would be wonderful if there was no fees involved, but you know that would bring on other problems.
Yes.
Because then in every system there's a way to abuse it.
Yeah.
No matter what you come up there, you know, human beings are pretty smart. They'll figure out a way.
Yeah.
But you know, something like that would cause an even bigger problem.
No, I get it. Listen, I get the fee because somebody has
Yeah.
to do the work. What I'm saying is, why are we taking cash? Why can't we document this money better than that? Like,
yeah.
$2,155 is nothing to sneeze at. That's a couple mortgage payments, quite a few rental payments for some people as well. I just want to be able to track where this money is coming from, where it's going, you know, because when folk just come out of nowhere with that kind of money, that's a valid question. Why are we accepting cash? Is there a way we can change that part of the system?
Absolutely. You know, as you know, Dr. White, all of this is driven by law and the revised statute. So the way they're changed is through our state and local officials. In this case, particularly the state senators and state representatives. So if we have issues like this, you bring it to your representative, and perhaps they can amend the statute or author another bill or something like that. But all of this is a process that we just can't change
I got you.
on a moment's notice. You know, and I get your point. You kind of would like to be able to see from a public standpoint,
yes,
where things are coming from, and to be more transparent.
Yes.
But just like this, in this case, we handle it just like we would for a candidate that's walking into the office. It's either cash, a money order, or a check, and that's how they process it. And they've been doing that for forever now. So, but for those who want to see some changes in the law, no matter what it is, and particularly in this case, reach out to your legislators.
Well, I appreciate you, Mr. Lombard, for spending some time with us. You know we have to go to break because the sponsors are the people who keep the engine of WBOK running. So we have to make certain that we honor them. But I do want to thank you for joining us. I know your schedule is busy. I would like to have you back. If you could come back on just about 5-10 minutes and just give us an update after the recount has been certified. Will you promise to do that?
I absolutely will, especially for you, Dr. White.
Well, thank you. You make a girl feel special.
All right.
Thank you so much, Darren.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Good luck this afternoon.
Listen, I'm curious. I don't disagree that every vote that is cast has to be validated. I'm with him there. My question is, if you actually feel like it's a system flaw, then it doesn't matter the outcome of an election. You should challenge the system flaw. And that is where I don't align with him. It felt disingenuous once he responded with in that way. But we'll be back on the other side of the break after we hear a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to jump right back into the news right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Watching for a few areas of fog, but dry start for most of us. A few isolated showers along the coast will develop, eventually moving north, bringing a few showers to New Orleans. Now, a few of those could reach the North Shore, but a lot of it will stay just to the south. Highs today in the low 80s. More rain expected Friday all the way through the weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Hi, this is Cary Grant. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events and sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join us every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Cary Show.
The legendary Broadway show is back. The Wiz. The Chicago Tribune raves. It's an eye-popping, high-intensity revival and a cause for celebration. The music, the voices, the legend returns. Entertainment Weekly says, run, don't ease on down to this spectacular revival. The Wiz. Playing the Sanger Theater May 13th through 18th. Tickets at BroadwayInNewOrleans.com.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
My name is Ariel. I moved to the U.S. at 19. I spoke no English and I struggled finding job opportunities. Everything I have, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and getting my high school diploma at age 22.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Listen, I wanna once again thank our clerk of court, the Honorable Darren Lumbaugh, for joining us this morning to give us some insight as to how the challenge to an outcome of an election work as it relates to who can file, what are the criteria to file. So I want to thank him once again for availing himself to us this morning. But right now, I mean, what, $7 million, you say?
$7 million.
$7 million for
Give
NOLA Day.
That's more than 1,000 nonprofits that have been a part of it. Some of these nonprofits set a goal and exceeded it. And for some of these nonprofits, they have gotten letters from the federal government as recently as last week saying, we're cutting off your funding.
Yeah.
So this is not necessarily a lifesaver, but maybe they can pay a bill or two, a person or two, for another month, 2, 3, as we watch what's going on with the federal government. Of course, Give NOLA didn't tie that directly to what's happening in Washington. Give NOLA Day has been going on for 12 years. But this region, the 13 parishes that are represented in Give NOLA Day, people really came through, and a lot of it was small donations, and those small donations are making a difference.
Well, shout out to all of the recipients of those philanthropic dollars, all of the organizations who will undoubtedly receive a financial boost from all of these donors. So shout out to you if you are a donor, if you were a $1 donor, a $5 donor, a $500 donor, but somewhere somebody got some money, because $7 million is no amount of money to sneeze at. So congratulations to all of the organizations who will benefit from Give NOLA Day. Shout out to Give NOLA Day, $7 million. That's amazing. And speaking of what is happening on a federal level in terms of these cuts and things of that nature, shout out to the Harvard University, because if Petty was an institution, it will be Harvard. And if you're not familiar with what is happening at Harvard, the Trump administration is in a toe-to-toe battle with Harvard. They attempted to threaten the university with withholding funding, withholding grants if they do not acquiesce to the diversity, equity, and inclusion demands. And Harvard has stood firm in saying they will not allow the Trump administration to dictate how education is done at their institution. And so the lady, the wrestling lady who has no qualifications,
McMahon.
Yeah, I don't even care to call her by her name. The wrestling lady, because she doesn't even know with what what she was calling the A1. She don't even know what AI is. So until she learned that AI is not a steak sauce, she and I don't have to call her by her name. I'm going to call her the wrestling lady. The wrestling lady had the audacity, the unmitigating gall to write a letter to the Harvard University. And Harvard responded with the red pen. Did y'all see that? They took to the letter with the red pen and showed her just why she has no business being the Secretary of Education for the Department of Education. She should go back to WrestleMania and WWE and SmackDown. She should go back to the rivers and the lakes that she's used to, because going toe-to-toe with a facility whose entire existence is making certain that they push out the best and the brightest on merit with respect to diversity, equity, and inclusion, you've met your match. So they took to the Trump administration's bullying tactics with the red pen. So shout out to Harvard. And listen, it's not often that I tilt my hat to those sorts of institutions, because, they have their issues as well with legacy admissions and things of that nature. But we noticed that that's never come under attack. Will, have you ever heard anything from the Trump administration as it relates to legacy admissions? Since we're attacking diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we're acting as if this is the only reason why folk who have the talent, we're acting as if they only got where they are going because somehow the policy put them there, and they weren't there on their merit or their educational prowess. Because this is the same man who called a sitting congresswoman low IQ, but he doesn't even know what the Declaration of Independence is. Nor does he know that Canada is the largest customer of the United States. Or he said, we don't really do much business with Canada. And the prime minister was like, well, we're kind of like your biggest. He's a full-blown, what word are we going to call him today? Child.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know where we are, but I do know Harvard's response rates on the petty meter. It rates very, very high, and that's my kind of carrying on. And I'm hoping that more institutions will follow the lead of Harvard, but it's hard for them to do so because Harvard is well endowed. Like that it's an institution that is
one of the biggest endowment
philanthropically
of all
cared for.
universities.
And so they have the power to make such a stance against the Trump administration. And I think that's what it's going to have to take. We're going to have institutions that have the power to punch a bully in the mouth. They're going to have to punch him in the mouth. So maybe he will take his hands off of other institutions because somebody has finally put him in his place. So shout out to Harvard. I'm excited about what that institution is doing to hold fast to the idea that diversity, equity, and inclusion is not a nasty. They're not nasty words. They're not words that we have to shy away from, and they're not words meant to ostracize anyone. It's quite the opposite. It's saying that if you have the skill, you should not be ignored because of your race or because of your disability or because of your exceptionality. Whatever makes you uniquely you is a plus in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's not a negative. So that's shout out to Harvard.
Yeah,
So,
and there's some question about whether Harvard actually did the mock-up, but for those of you who haven't seen
I like it. It looks like they did
if you just look at the letter, whether they did it or somebody else did it, they're right.
It's my kind
They're
of carrying
right.
on.
Because
It's
they
my
point
kinda
out
carrying on.
spelling mistakes, punctuation mistakes,
Grammatical errors,
and grammatical
syntax.
errors, and I mean it's just why would you send such a letter? Because it is the letter.
Yes, it's the
that
letter.
she sent
Yes.
to Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether a Harvard executive or a Harvard peon or somebody who took English.
I'm here for it.
Up.
Whoever did it.
Whoever did it, they pointed out some good stuff. It's like this needed a little Grammarly check, a little spell check. It needed a second and third editor.
Which makes you wonder if she prepared the letter in the Signal chat, because if she actually put it on an actual computer, then there would have been a spelling and grammar check on it. So did she write the letter in the Signal chat? I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. We got to go to break. But on the other side of the break, we're going to hear from Kim DeLosa talking about the mental health of community leaders and community caretakers. There's a special event that is happening this Friday at 9 p.m. at Boomtown Casino, where we're going to honor and celebrate the fantastic, wonderful accomplishments of some phenomenal educators right here in the city of New Orleans. And we're going to talk to Kim DeLosa about that right here at WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans. New Schools for New Orleans is committed to celebrating the hardworking teachers of New Orleans. Thank you to all the educators who came out to the 4th annual NOLA Teacher Fest at Champion Square. We had over 2,000 attendees. Special thank you to our sponsors, Allstate Sugar Bowl, Entergy New Orleans, Raising Cane's, Align Ed New Orleans, Agenda for Children, and Oshner Children's for their commitment and support. Teachers and school leaders, enjoy the summer break.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Tensions flared outside of a Grand Rapids, Michigan courthouse as protesters clashed during jury deliberations in the trial of ex-officer Christopher Shore, charged with killing a black man, Patrick Luoya.
I think that they are really weighing the options and the facts, and I really truly hope that they come up with something soon.
The jury is deadlocked but was told to keep trying. One person was arrested. Jurors are in deliberations today in the Tyree Nichols murder trial. 3 former Memphis officers are charged with beating him to death back in 2023. That was caught on video. None of the former officers testified. And the Lending Tree survey shows 77% of parents say raising kids is more expensive than expected, with nearly half having fewer children due to costs. The average cost to raise a child now is nearly $300,000, up 36% in 2 years. A $5,000 baby bonus is reportedly under consideration. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Shanta White. Shout out to my super producer, the Naira Sanders, and my co-pilot this morning, Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning, New Orleans.
And right now we have in studio with us Kim DeLosa with the Insanity of Giving Back initiative. We're going to be talking about this wonderful event that we are having on Friday to celebrate the phenomenal work of all of our educators across the city. And I'm hearing that the event is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. So successful, we might have to run it back next month and the month after that. But we have the lady herself here with us to talk to us about it. Welcome to the Good Morning Show, Miss Kim DeLosa. The Insanity of Giving Back. Where did that come from? How did you birth the Insanity of Giving Back?
Because giving back almost drove me insane. That's where it came from.
Personal experience.
Yeah, it's definitely based on my own personal mental health journey as a community leader, a 28 veteran on the battlefield, and you get lost in it. You know, you get, when it's time for the cameras to come on, nobody cares that you got your grandmother's in hospice. You know, when the people call and they need you, they don't care that you've been in the ER all night with your sickle cell son. You just got to get up and serve. And we get lost in it because why? That's our purpose. That's what God called us to do. But old pressure bust pipes. And I surely learned the hard way. So it's like, if I'm in this kind of mental turmoil, I know some of my comrades are most definitely suffering. And it was unleashed. The first town hall revealed, we definitely suffering. We had some powerhouse leaders in the mental health town hall, and when they came in the room, I just put a name tag with just your first name. I don't even want the person who's the title. I need who your mama gave birth to come on in this room and talk to me. And they talked. They expressed themselves about what it's like to be a leader in this community and not having a vulnerable space to just let go. Because this stuff will drive you insane. This one knows. Dr. Wyatt knows. Because I don't play. Even I'm like, you working this hard, it's time to get some flowers. And I'm talking about way back when she got her PhD. We were in COVID. I said, oh, no, we're going to have a parade.
Yeah,
because
right.
These people, you working too hard. I'm sitting in the courtrooms with you. What the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
So,
it was quite a time.
It was a time.
Quite
But
a
see,
time.
she has to maintain tact because she's the PhD, the doctor, and all these elections. Not me. I'm coming in the courtroom and act a fool. She knows. But my thing is, understand that community leaders, elected officials, our culture bearers, they are human. Before you call and complain to me about Jamal McNeely, the CEO, won't you go have some coffee with him? This boy is burying child after child, opening up school after school to host a funeral, and this what you gonna call my phone with? No, ma'am. These people are human. I don't care if you don't agree with their political ideologies. This is a person who a woman gave birth to. And when this person close their eyes, it's gonna be them by themselves on that cold slab. So now let's restore the humanity in community leadership.
I love that.
Listen, I'm with that. And I'm with that. And so that takes us to the event that is happening on Friday. Tell us about that. This is a teacher shower, not a baby shower, but a teacher shower. Whereby I'm actually being honored. I was shocked when I got the call. And then there are a number of teachers being celebrated in my honor. Can you talk to us about the event?
So during my Kellogg Fellowship, I used those 3 years to create Fire Productions, right? Because I got tired of people criticizing it. Oh, that's all they do is party. I love the fact that that's all that we do is party, but let's make the audience mean something. So I started creating these parties for a purpose, and the production company gave birth to what I did, the insanity of giving back, just an initiative of parties for purposes and in-depth conversations. So tomorrow, we're focused on the teachers, right? Yeah. This is a part of the Care for Caretakers tour where we're actually honoring the most impactful individuals and organizations in the community. Giving living legends their flowers, because as much as I love our culture, I hate the fact that people have to die and we have to go to a second line for them to get these big, let's do it, while they can still see them. So tomorrow is the last day of Teacher Appreciation Week. And some of the most unsung heroes in our community are educators. And at every event, there's a signature person where we open up the microphone and you let this person know from the bottom of their hearts, how they've impacted you. And tomorrow is Dr. Wyatt's night. Because certainly no educator deserves public flowers more than Dr. Wyatt. And in her honor, we're celebrating 25 educators from all over the city, Jefferson and Orleans.
Oh, nice. So it's Teacher Appreciation Week, and this is a special tribute to Dr. Wyatt and
open mic
and 25 other folks. So what can people expect to see happen on Friday night?
So first, let's just talk about how it took over these people. Casino, they made it a community canvas, right? So just in the past years, even down to the heart attack and down to, it's just been a intentional spiritual awakening, right? So really honing into God, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to do now? Because I'm at my lowest point. What would you have me to do? And I heard it clear as day, like, let me just put this. This came after I partnered with the Jazz and Heritage Foundation to create the DJ Polo 504 New Orleans DJ Hall of Fame. That's to gauge the mental health of culture bearers, right? So it's like I heard a voice as clear as day, like, go to the casino. Like, go to the casino. I actually sat in that parking lot for like 20 minutes just looking at the casino because I'm like, either I'm going to go to jail for loitering or these people are going to open up these doors and say, come on, use us. And that's exactly what they did. So for the past 6 months.
You didn't know why you were going there.
I didn't know why. And, it's in my community, but I'm like, you want me to go to the casino and go to the marketing office and say, this is who I am. These are the DJs I'm attached to. Can I use this place as a community canvas? And they welcome me with open arms. So 2 to 3 times a month, we are there at Boomtown paying tribute to the greats. Before they close their eyes, they need to get these flowers. And so, yeah, that's where the great merge with pop culture and community solutions comes. So when you come in, it's a whole party vibe. We sit our honoree on the stage. People line up, give them their flowers. We honor the people that's being celebrated in her honor. And then after that, my Hall of Fame DJs take over and we dance the night away. And again, this is a mental health break night. We want to just forget about your problems for tonight and just dance. Let's that DJ role take you away. So it's always, we rotating the DJs throughout this event series.
So why do you believe mental health disparities among community leaders and culture bearers are rarely discussed?
Because they feel like we're superheroes. We feel like we're superheroes. Even after the doctor said, ma'am, you suffered a heart attack, I went straight into protection mode. Oh, I can't tell my mama this. Can't tell my husband this. I can't tell you. Go as a community leader, we feel like we can take it all. Like we can sit up on city council knowing that all hell is breaking loose internally at home and sit in those people's face and just like, oh, nothing's wrong. Well, you are like some of these people I know personally, you a lie. Everything's wrong on a personal level. This insanity of giving back is just really honing in on not only corporations going to your CEOs and say, are you okay? Are you all right? But even down to law enforcement, me telling top law enforcement agency leaders, you need to check on you might want to check on your officer. And if we're not intentional about that, we're going to start waking up to more headlines like, we lost an assistant DA to suicide. One of my closest girlfriends, community organizer in Central City, lost to the suicide. This work is heavy.
So
this work is very heavy.
What are some of the common signs that a community leader may be silently struggling?
Isolation. Now me, that's the point I'm in. Now if I'm not, you're going to see me in a crowd if I'm working or if New Edition is on the stage. That's the only time you're going to see me in a crowd. If New Edition is on the stage, but it's isolation. If you know me, if Kim goes quiet, it's like, oh, hell, what in the heck is going on?
Right.
Really that isolation and always, I was the person always, I need to make everybody else smile so that you don't understand that I'm not smiling. It's this masquerade, and we feel like when these cameras come on, it's time to show out. Because what community want to look at a leader and be like, oh hell, she weak again, she's crying again, when all inside you're crumbling.
So is this work really, really for you though? So if it's like you want to care for people because you would have wanted someone to care for you in that way. Because I think about it like the way that I lead schools and I love children is because I want to do for a kid what I wish somebody had done for me, or I'm honoring what somebody has done for me. I feel like I'm the sort of leader I am because of the leader Carol Edgar Lang was for me. Do you find that helping to heal other people is healing for you?
And let me piggyback on that. This is such important work, but the way I look at it, everybody's not built for it. Everybody is not built for it.
And I feel like, so I literally got started at 22 years old. When I got started, I was single, no children. Let's go. I can stay up 3 nights in Grant Wright. And I would do it. I would literally start, if I got a grant due, I'm up, I'm going to work, I'm coming back, I'm back on the grant application. When my therapist goes, she was like, I need you to look back. And I just started looking. You throw everything to the side. If one of your children, you call to a murder scene, you gone. Even though you got husband and children, you have to be out the door. But what I'm asking everybody in leadership, I'm talking about from grassroots neighborhood leaders all the way to the mayor. Look in the mirror and recognize your humanity. And look.
So do you feel that? Do you feel like doing this work is helping you heal parts of yourself that you've neglected?
This part is.
Doing all of the work for other people.
This chapter with the insanity of giving back is. Because I can speak from a personal place. I can look at an elected leader and say, how you doing today? I need you to know. Gina will tell you if something heinous comes on the news, I'm like, Gina, I need you to breathe. I need you, because can you imagine being a part of media and you literally have to report this stuff every day? My funeral professional friends, they are excellent at what they do, but I'm the one texting them, okay, are you okay? Because they'll post, like, this is a hard day today. I never thought I had to bury this person. This is hard when you have to do a child. and I'm the one texting, I'm gonna need you to step away
So
and
who's
breathe.
taking care of the caretaker?
Me.
No. Who's taking care of the caretaker?
Right.
That's my question.
Well, now it's God, because listen, now I have the. Let me tell you. At first, I didn't even have a limit. There was no limit to the distance I would go. Just constantly, just sweep it under the rug, because this child needs me. This family needs me. But now Kim is like, listen, I gotta say no. No is a complete sentence.
A boundary. You've created a boundary.
I didn't have any. I didn't have any, and I'm steadily, I can do it. I can go to this meeting. I'm not going into no meetings. Y'all call me. When you all have the solution mapped out, come on. I'm coming in, because I used to be the one, let me generate, let me create this, let me do this, let me lead this. I can't. The human body only has its certain limits, and the human spirit. That's what, see, when she goes live, I go live too, because I go live to start praying. Because some of the stuff, these phone calls and stuff coming through here, I'm like, Ashanti, you got to protect your peace. You have to. Like, spiritual warfare is a really big thing, and our community leaders, I almost want to bring all the enemies in a room and say, so you mean to tell me if this lady right here is on the boat sinking, you're not going to reach her just because you don't like her politics or you don't like his politics? But what is wrong with y'all?
Not everybody can do that.
But no. Let me interject.
It's been a long journey.
I don't think it's about enemies, to be honest with you. I don't think it's about enemies. I don't think this is an enemy sort of situation. I think when you get down to the heart of it, Kim, I think most people are afraid to let other people's light shine. And that's the problem that we're having. Everybody want to be a line leader.
Everybody want to be a chief.
And that's the problem. And my whole thing is, a light that is supposed to shine is undeniable. It doesn't matter what comes up against it. It doesn't matter who colludes against it. It doesn't matter who put their 2 cents on it. No matter who put their mouth on me. I'm anointed by God to do the work that He's purposed my life for. So this is what I think it's about. It is not my responsibility to shrink myself to make you feel comfortable in your mediocrity. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
But listen, you know that.
Yes.
And I know that. But when we get them all into one room, I enter the room and say, listen, I don't want no bloodshed up in here. I literally held a social influencer meeting in my studio, and one of them said, Miss Kim, you doing what they telling us they scared to do. They scared to have us in one room because they say we too violent.
But community is not supposed to be afraid of community. And I will tell you, Kim, in your work, and I'm certain you've heard all of the things that folk can say. There's not one person, I would challenge any person who speaks ill of a Dr. Ashanti Wyatt to tell you why don't you like her, or what is your problem with her. It will never be about anything other than you just personally don't care for me or the way that I deliver things. But when somebody is doing you wrong and they're doing you wrong and you're uncomfortable and they're wrongdoing, why do I have to make you comfortable in my response to your disrespect? I'm disrespected almost every day, even as we speak, right? It's disrespect. But at the end of the day, I'm required to have decorum when nobody else is required to have decorum. Nobody's going to put parameters on me when you had no parameters on the way you disrespected me. That's what they don't like about me, because I don't have to say it to anybody else. I could come and talk directly to the person that I have an issue with. The problem that I'm having with this community, the New Orleans community, is we've allowed outside folk to come into our community and dictate the identity of this city. This is not about enemies. I don't have enemies. I love children. I fight for children. I'm against injustice. I fight systems. And if you don't like me, it is because you're a part of the system that's upholding white supremacy, or it's upholding the vessel that keeps my children down. And if that's who you are, then yeah, we're going to always have a problem. But I can speak to anybody, Kim. I can have I can work with anybody. But what I will not do is allow anybody to malign my name and act as if there's a rationale for it, because it's not. And I've been going through this for a long time.
Pause, Mr. Will. That's why I do what I do. See how she had to get all of that out?
Right.
That's why. That's me. They call me into like something wrong with him.
Because I want to be clear. I want to be clear. I have no enemies.
Can you imagine if I didn't come here this morning? All of this would be, but I'm the one, again, she's the doctor. She has to remain tact. I'm the one, when I walk in the room and they start talking about Dr. Ashanti Wyatt, everything, I gotta say it, because you're not gonna play with it in my face, Because at 22 years old, I was the one getting kicked out of the city council chambers. I don't care what I say. But again, I don't have to answer to nobody. Doc has a PhD. She's in this political stuff. I don't play that politics stuff. I am a human being. Everybody's in my cell phone. That's why they call me the godmother Nolan, because I'm going to text everybody from the lieutenant governor on down to the crime commissioner. This is a human story. But just like she unloaded, you know how many leaders in this community need to unload?
But I want to be very clear. I want to be very clear because more often than not, and I'm glad that this event is happening and people can come together, but more often than not, the people who use words to try to malign me don't look like anybody other than my own community. These are women and men who look like they could be my aunts, my auntie, my brother, my cousin. And we don't stop for 1 second to think that the thing that we say about somebody could be the very thing that keeps them unemployed, right? So that means you don't care about my son and you don't care about my ability to
your family.
So you have to be very mindful of the things that you do and say about people. I've never hid my opinions about people from the people who I have the opinions about. So I don't need nobody to go say, oh, Doc said this. No, Doc can say she said that. But this city has colluded against me for what reason?
They don't have one.
Because I stood up for children? Right?
Guess what?
Let's be clear. That's what this is about.
And because we always get this right, she just got to change the way she talks. What you mean change the way she talks? I talk like that. Why because she has a PhD, she has to tell me why. She is me. I am she. When it comes to the protection of children, I've lost close family and friends, but I'm going to protect them to the end of me.
So before we go, briefly, we got about 30 seconds because we got to go to break. Friday. What is the expectation? What should people come with in
Friday? Bring gifts and goodies. This is not a baby shower. It's a teacher shower. So you can go to Dr. Wise page. You'll see the honorees all over. They're coming from everywhere. Jefferson Parish, Orleans Parish. But just like you would bring gifts and goodies to a mother for her baby, bring gifts and goodies to not only Dr. Wyatt, but to the teachers. It's open to the public. Free event. We open at 9. It is a party for a purpose that's getting bigger. Boomtown, Boomers, the club. DJ Rowe is our featured DJ tomorrow. And again, this is grown. The demand for teachers. It looks like we're gonna have to do the teacher showers like bi-monthly.
Yeah, that's fine. We love our teachers.
But the most important thing on that forum was when we asked them to talk about their mental health. And I need you to understand, our educators are suffering. They are suffering mentally. And again, nobody wants to hear them when it's time for you to stand up in front of these children. But you also don't want an educator to go home and do something crazy. So check on your strong friends, people, especially community leaders.
Well, we want to thank Ms. Kim DeLosa for spending part of her morning with us talking about the Care for Caretakers tour under the Insanity of Giving Back initiative, which is going to happen tomorrow as we honor phenomenal teachers all across this city in honor of Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Please show up at Boomtown tomorrow, 9 p.m. Bring your gifts and your goodies for your favorite teacher. And if you're coming to honor me, you might have to get on the microphone and tell me how I've impacted your life. My ears and my heart will be open. So I'll see y'all tomorrow at Boomtown. We're going to be back on the other side of the break. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
Shout out to Kim DeLosa.
Grant Sashra.
And I'm Ro Brown.
Please join us for the Sports Report Wednesdays and Fridays
at 8 p.m. on WBOK.
The Sports Report on WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning and happy Thursday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. Some good news to start your Thursday. A flood watch has ended for the metro area, but unfortunately, cleanup efforts and power restoration continues this morning. About 1,000 people are still without power, primarily on the west bank of Jefferson Parish. And across southeast Louisiana, strong winds and heavy rain toppled trees and caused other damage from New Orleans to the North Shore. Then big changes could be coming to the NOPD's consent decree. Sources tell WDSU that 6 Department of Justice lawyers who were involved with the federal reforms have been removed from their positions. To some, it's an indication that the federal reforms may be ending sooner rather than later. President Donald Trump has pushed the Department of Justice to end all federal consent decrees. The NOPD is in a 2-year sustainment period right now after the consent decree started back in 2012. And finally, thanks to New Orleans City Councilman Freddie King, today is Cam Jordan Day. King says this is to recognize the Saint Star for all of his contributions both on and off the field serving our community. Cam will receive a proclamation with several special guests in attendance, including Saints and Pelicans owner Gail Benson. It's happening at City Council Chambers at 9 a.m. today. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU. Have a great day.
Connect with NOLA Public Schools. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X for the latest updates. Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed. Stay engaged. Visit NOLAPublicSchools.com today. Again, that's NOLAPublicSchools.com.
Hi, this is Arnie Filko. Let's Elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events to sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join Carrie and I every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Carrie Show. See you soon.
This is Jackie Jones with Class Act Entertainment. Join us on May 11 at the Honor Thy Mother Theater Brunch in partnership with WBOK at the Jean Lafitte Auditorium. Experience the red carpet with live interviews and photo ops, along with a chance to win a trip to Las Vegas. Highlighting the afternoon is the original stage play, Mama. The finale, live concert with Piano Man G. Get your tickets at 504-491-1179.
Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
We are back. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Nyron Sanders, and my co-pilot this morning, the Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans.
Listen, if you're just joining us, you missed the conversation with Kim DeLosa talking about the insanity of giving back with the teacher shower that is happening tomorrow in honor of Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. We will be celebrating 25 spectacular teachers from all across this community. So if you're free tomorrow, 9 p.m., y'all come see me at Boomers in Boomtown. I'll be there. The mic will be open. You'll get to talk about it, and I'll get to listen. But right now, we are going to jump into conversation with Reverend Calhoun. Y'all, a lot of y'all know he's always calling in, but now he's sitting in studio with his whole band of brothers, who he's going to introduce at this moment. Good morning, Rev. How you doing?
I am doing extremely wonderful, and again, it's always a pleasure to be here. As you said about the band.
The band is here.
Well, on vocals, we got Joe Gibbons. Bass drum, we got Roy Lewis. And on trombone.
So we don't have no keys? Ain't nobody on the keys? We're going to have to be on the keys today.
We're going to let Will. Right. But we also got Dr. Otis Darcy with us, and we're here to speak to an initiative that's being done by the Community of Hope and the DA's office. And we're going to allow Mr. Joe to update us on just what's going on with that.
Thank you, Pastor Calhoun. Communities of Hope it's not an organization, it's a coalition of congregations across the city that is reminiscent of some work that was done in the 1990s and early 2000s. Some of us may remember all congregations together. And it's work with Mark Moriel's office when he was mayor. Mm-hmm. This is similar. And the only difference is that we're in 2025 now with a misery index in our communities that continues to rise. Coalition of congregations, communities of faith, churches, synagogues, masjids, all coming together to address imminent threats. And when we're talking about imminent threats, we're talking about things that could create violence in our neighborhood, right? And in this partnership with the faith community, the district attorney's office, through its strategic initiatives called No DICE, New Orleans Data Informed Civic Engagement, has begun to address issues like the tire shop on Claiborne Avenue, which was a source of violence, the hookah lounge where 2 young women were killed, celebrating their graduation. Just Monday, the DA and members of the faith community were out where they took down the 5-star car wash, right? Where all of these were scenes of violence, and so the objective of Communities of Hope, it's not an organization, it's a coalition of communities of faith coming together to address imminent threats. So we identified them, the district attorney's office then in cooperation with their federal partners, address them, right? So we see it as an opportunity for our congregations to see a community that represents the values that they speak about on Sunday. What we preach about on Sunday ought to live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
I don't know where my bell is, but I was going to hit it for you. Yeah, I was going to hit the bell for you on that one, because what I'm hearing you say is we're bringing all of what is happening in the walls of all of our churches into the community, right? And so what is it you said it's a coalition of different churches.
Right. The faith-based community, we've been taking a lot of heat about, well, where's the churches, where are the pastors? Well, this is an opportunity now that's being put forth by the district attorney's office, by the Community of Hope, for us to come together and work together to address issues of the community. And it's faith-based led, which means that it's not Christian and Muslim and all, it's all faiths coming together to address issues. Now, again, what are the issues? Well, that's what we're about. We're coming now to say these are the issues that the community has decided on what they want to address. When Joe was speaking about the Treme issue, everybody know that tire shop that was right off Esplanade. was a real problem. We had murders, we had all those things. But it was the faith-based community, along with the district attorney's office, along with Community of Hope, coming together to address that issue. So they shut it down. And you have to help me now, Joe. How much, the percentage of crime, the crime rate went down, how much?
It was Kendrick Allen, who's the first district commander, met with St. Peter Claver's Church and Masjid Rahim and it was Holy Faith Temple Baptist Church, right? And reported that crime was down almost 75 to 80% in Treme after those.
Just by the closing of that tire shop.
You know, Esplanade and Claiborne has been one of the most challenging, corners in the city of New Orleans. Believe it or not. It's the car.
The car wash. That was on the news when that was Monday, Tuesday.
Right.
The press conference.
But you know, the initiative moves from we proved concept in Treme. That's where all the congregations got together for the first time. Now we're in Central City addressing those issues in Central City, which seems to be, when we hear even young people talk about it, they're talking about prostitution and violence and drug dealing. Kids are saying, this is what we're afraid of on our way to school, right, in Central City. But now we're moving to the lower and upper ninth ward.
Right. And so with that, we are hosting a breakfast in the lower ninth ward on Saturday from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
10 a.m.
I'm sorry, to 10 a.m.
That's lunch, breakfast, and dinner.
He wanted the whole day. I mean, it was so good. You wanted it 24 hours, all day, every day?
And who's preparing the food is a new restaurant down in the lower ninth ward called the Food Lab. And I think I do have some witnesses to attest that the shrimp and grits was really decent.
So which one of Pastor Dorsey?
Yes,
that's you. So it's always it's a small, very small world. Your son.
Yes.
Your son. I did some work on behalf of your grandbaby. Yeah, and his son was texting me saying thank you for that and that his father was in the studio. So I wanted to say hello to you. But when you're talking about this this Hope Initiative, does that extend to other ills in our community? Because I do believe that a lot of what we're experiencing, if the faith-based community got on board with ensuring that our children receive a high-quality education in the city of New Orleans, these places that we're trying to be shut down wouldn't necessarily have the life that they have, because our kids will have more direction. They will have things that they can put all of that energy to, more positive things of education was in line. Are we looking to make certain that this Hope Initiative extends into our classrooms?
I believe that we're going to begin to experience a misery index that's going to rise beyond what anybody in this room can anticipate. And that's why you got Jasmine Crockett and Mark Morial and others coming to the city of New Orleans to say that education is going to suffer. Services to families are going to suffer. Jobs are going to suffer. Food is going to suffer. And so we've always talked about how would communities of faith fill that void. Someone is going to have to address that, right, until things get better, until we revive this democracy. So to answer your question, Doctor, I absolutely. Parents are organizing, and I work in Washington State also with parents of charter school, and they are trying to learn how to do this faith-based organizing. It's not faith-based organizing. It's an organizing process and model that Barack and I learned at the same time in 1989. He used it in Chicago. He used it here with ACT. But
you just slid the former president name in there like that? You talking about the Barack Obama?
So
he went to St. Aug.
He went to St. Aug, right? Barack went to St. Aug too, right? But to answer your question, parents are learning how to organize to address legislatures.
Yes.
On the same, how to do this, how to organize, right? So we're going to have to, you know, in our community. I think the issues are quality of life issues are preeminent right at this moment. But other issues, they're all connected. You know, education is connected to the quality of life at the home, in the family.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, so I think these issues are going to be different as we in the future. Right now, with this partnership with the DA, it's focused on those imminent threats. What's going to happen if we don't get rid of this? And what do we replace it with, right? Look,
I think, you know, and I'm just saying here, I think replacing any of the threats, you have to replace with opportunity. Yes. I don't think anybody is out in the community just wanting to jeopardize their freedom in their life to survive if there was a better opportunity. Yes. You know what I mean? And so for me, I will never, I love Black people, right? And I think Black people have to become comfortable with loving Black people. Yep. And that doesn't, and I don't have to give any qualifiers for that statement, because folk like to say that don't mean I don't have to give that. I love Black people. And my love for Black people requires me to say, yeah, we have elements of our community that we have to get better at, right? But we also have to be truthful about our part and why a lot of our children are wayward. We have to be honest about that. The village abdicated its responsibility to its children, and that's just the bottom line to it all. We wouldn't have things that we consider threats in our community if the village actually was responsive and engaging the way it's supposed to be.
And you know, part of that village was the faith community. If you remember, historically, the faith community, after the civil rights movement, the faith community during the civil rights movement, at the very forefront. At the forefront. I'm talking about the SCLC, along with the students in SNCC and others. But then when we got these rights, the church went to sleep.
Yes.
And said, okay, now we can elect Dutch. Now we can elect this one. And we'll let them handle it.
Because we know y'all are powerful. You know how I know y'all powerful? Because anybody that's running for anything coming into the church to get into y'all's pulpit, to talk to y'all's congregation, they know you are powerful. But see, I'm of the mindset that we don't let people in our churches, in our pulpits, in our communities who cannot uphold the vow that they made to the community when you came into the doors and you promised us this and you promised us that, and we have not seen this or that. You don't belong in here. What's wrong with doing that? This is our community. If you want to come here, there's a toll to pay to come into New Orleans. And the toll you pay is to honor Black folk in this Black city. And if you cannot do that, then you don't belong here. How do you think that? I'm just being honest here. So we have to take collective responsibility for the ball that we collectively drop. It is not our children's fault that they're out there getting it how they live. It's our fault because we forced them out there to get it how they live. And if we do not fix the crisis with our schools, nothing else matters. There is no quality of living. There is none. And the church has a huge responsibility because we allow these folk to perpetrate a fraud on us every election cycle.
But that's where we're going, is the uniqueness of coming together.
Yes.
And speaking to how we now manage issues.
Yes.
Because the issue that's in the lower nine may not be the same issue that's in the upper nine. So coming together is why we're having a breakfast on Saturday morning to bring the faith-based community together. Upper nine, lower nine, Central City. We're asking all the ministers, all the pastors, if you can't come, send somebody. We want to organize this thing in such a way that everybody's voice can be heard. All right. And again, my issue is cleaning. Why all the people come into our neighborhood and dump their trash and then expect us to come clean it up? Well, I'm tired of picking up other people's trash.
And why is it rare that we can't find out who's doing it? With all this facial recognition and all of these crime cameras on every pole, because when the kids get in trouble, we see in real time, we can read the words on their shirt. It's so clear. Why we can't find out who putting the tires down there in the community and just dumping it and leaving?
And that's part of what this initiative is all about. Not only do we need to identify them, we need to make sure they're prosecuted.
And they need to pay.
Right.
They need to pay.
So if the DA comes in and he comes in with the prosecution piece. We identify who's doing it. Then we have a real way of stopping it and not just going to pick up people's trash that comes into our neighborhood and throw it down. So that's one of the things.
I just want to chime in. Faith leaders, if you're interested, we're having a breakfast Saturday morning at
what time?
8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at 1020 Falstaff Street, St. Paul Church of God in Christ.
And that's where the shrimp and grits gonna be at?
Yes, ma'am. So we hope to see you
gotta
there.
say that.
Yes, there will be shrimp and grits. So I just want to make sure
they
that
might not come for a biscuit, but they gonna come for the shrimp and grits. You gotta say that.
So the program works.
Mhm.
You know, we have evidence that it works. We've closed places. We've arrested people.
Yeah.
It works. Lower 9, upper 9, pastors, clergy members, come. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
And how much does the breakfast cost?
It is absolutely free.
99.
How much does the breakfast cost?
Absolutely free.
Okay.
Free 99. Free is better than cheap.
Yes.
That's what Oliver was saying.
Yeah, that's what Oliver would say. I always got to bring them back into the room. But I appreciate y'all being here. I actually appreciate anytime black men take the mantle of leadership. I really do. I think that that's what's missing in this community. These children need to see black men at the forefront of caring about community. I tell people all the time, like women, we do what we do, but we don't have to do it when we got. You put any man in front of me and you show me he'll lead, I guarantee you I'm going to follow him.
I agree.
Those are facts. So there's this division and there's this conversation that black women don't know how to respect a black man or follow the lead of a black man. Then show me a black man lead, and I'm gonna show you how to follow. That's
serious
just the bottom
conversation.
line. That's a serious conversation.
Yeah.
Let's have it, pastors. But listen, I appreciate y'all being here. I'm hoping that anybody within the sound of our voice, if you are free this Saturday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., there's a breakfast. There's a convening of the clergy happening.
Right.
What is that address again?
1020 Falstaff Street.
1020 Falstaff Street. What?
St. Paul Church of God in Christ.
St. Paul Church of God in Christ. This is going to be a
Pastored
conversation
by
of
the Reverend
solutions.
Dyson.
Yeah, we got to give honor to the Reverend, huh? How you going to talk about that man's facility and not say his name? Lean back in there. What's his name, Pastor?
Reverend Dyson.
Reverend Dyson. shout out to Reverend Dyson.
Superintendent. No, let me rephrase. Superintendent Dyson.
We have to go, but we appreciate you being here. I'm so proud of you, Reverend Calhoun. You didn't say nothing about Carver this morning. You didn't say anything about Carver this morning.
That jealousy thing is running so high right now, and you understand we got these St. All people in here.
And you ain't want to shake a table?
Well, I may have to fight. You understand?
Listen, y'all, I thank y'all for being here. We're going to be back on the other side of the break to talk about it, but y'all stay with us. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
Y'all see how I ain't telling men of God nothing.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Watching for a few areas of fog, but dry start for most of us. A few isolated showers along the coast will develop, eventually moving north, bringing a few showers to New Orleans. Now, a few of those could reach the North Shore, but a lot of it will stay just to the south. Highs today in the low 80s. More rain expected Friday all the way through the weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
It's our second anniversary and it's tax season, and we have great deals to help you keep more of your refund. Check out our amazing offers on phones, watches, tablets, and accessories for the whole family. Need internet? We've got you covered. If AT&T Internet is unavailable in your area, we've got individual deals to keep you connected. Stop by your locally owned AT&T store at 3616 South Carrollton Avenue. We're not just an AT&T store, we're your AT&T store. Proud to serve and give back to our community.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 12:30 a.m. on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
The legendary Broadway show is back. The Wiz. The Chicago Tribune raves. It's an eye-popping, high-intensity revival and a cause for celebration. The music, the voices, the legend returns. Entertainment Weekly says, run, don't ease on down to this spectacular revival. The Wiz. Playing the Sanger Theater May 13th through 18th. Tickets at BroadwayInNewOrleans.com.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Naren Sanders, and my co-pilot, Will Sutton.
Good morning,
We've
good morning,
been
good morning.
having a dynamic conversation going on. But right now, we're going to jump in to some news you wanted to talk about. You had a conversation or interview, extensive interview with the president of the Xavier University of Louisiana.
I did. It was a great opportunity. Took quite a while to get it scheduled. And for those who don't know, I'm a columnist with the Times-Picayune, NOLA.com. Tonight, Xavier has its Centennial Gala, which is at the Hyatt Regency. That's another part of their fundraising. It's a big deal for the university. And in advance of that event happening tonight, I interviewed President Verrett about the centennial anniversary of Xavier University, looking at its past, looking at what's happening now, and looking at the future. And so it's a wide-ranging interview. And frankly, I mean, what you'll see online or see in the paper is a portion of the interview because of space and time. But we talk about a good number of things, including the Xavier Ochsner College of Medicine and where things stand with that. We talk about DEI and what's going on with the federal government and how Xavier University has been affected.
What's his response specific to the diversity, equity, and inclusion question?
Okay, so what I asked was that there's been things changing at higher ed institutions, and that includes policies on DEI. And noting that Xavier's in a bit of a different place because it's Catholic and private. So his response is, there are some grants that have been questioned. What we found is that when we engaged in conversations with the agencies, we've been able to actually resolve the issue. It will be always that we will remain true to our mission. That has not changed for 100 years. In doing so, we remain within the law. I asked them whether anything has been cut, salaries or compensation or anything. And he said they've explained exactly what they do, whether in the labs or in social sciences. And there were grants that were questioned, but they were able to answer those questions and resolve. So that's some insight into what's been going on with Xavier. But we know this is happening with higher education institutions across the country. And, my concern remains that when an agency, a federal agency, raises concerns, universities like Xavier, universities like Dillard, SUNO, Southern, rely on these federal funds a lot for the work that they do. And so this is a resolution to whichever issues he's talking about for the moment. But the way this administration is moving, you can get notice anytime, any week.
Yeah. And I mean, I appreciate you bringing that that conversation to the airwaves. It was out because I wanted to know where Xavier stood as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because we can see other universities having a very public stance. I didn't know where my university stood, and I wanted the answer to that. But just to kind of switch gears to talk about the national stage really quick. We only have about 2.5 minutes. I want to talk about this idea that lawyers are quoting $1 million in fees to get pardons to Trump. So now there's this conversation that everything in our country is now for sale. And to that point, the Trump family just opened a private club in Washington. For $500,000, you can literally pay for access to White House officials and cabinet secretaries. The corruption is unbelievable. Every American should be outraged, and that is from Representative Jason Crow. And I brought that up to talk about this idea of the very fabric of this country is for sale. You can buy judges, you can buy juries, you can buy a president, you can buy a congressional leader. And some will say you've been had the opportunity to buy him. It was just done in back rooms over cigars and some expensive cognac. But now it's happening on social media. Like it's in the open. It's being led by the commander-in-chief of these United States. Something about this is wrong.
But not enough people are looking at and having a problem with it,
yeah,
which
well,
I don't understand.
Not enough of the Republican Party because they are lockstep with him. And they could feel like he's wrong. They're not brave enough to go against him because they're watching the retaliatory things being done if you don't openly or aggressively push his agenda. Because Pam Bondi is pushing his agenda, and she's a lawyer. You're risking disbarment because you're pushing the agenda that judges don't have the right to hold the line when he's breaking the law. She said the judges are not within, federal judges are not within their right to hold him accountable to the Constitution. That's what she said.
And that's not the Attorney General's role.
And that's not her role. But I want to say this before we go, because we could definitely talk more about that, and we will. We should. But I want to read an excerpt of a letter that a white man wrote in the wake of Rodney Hinton is this guy's name, who ran over the police officer. What they're saying is retaliation for the police department murdering his 18-year-old son. And I want to talk about this letter because it's on the heels of the not guilty verdict for Tyree Nichols, who we watched be murdered on camera, and there's no justice there. This is just an excerpt, so it's not in chronological order. But it literally says, this country was built on retaliation, on rebellion, on don't tread on me, but let a black man fight back and suddenly it's terrorism. Nah, that's rage you created. That's grief this system signed, sealed, and delivered. I'm not saying what Rodney did was legal. I'm saying it was understandable. And I'd rather live in a world full of Rodneys than another one where cops keep walking free after burying somebody's baby. If that makes you uncomfortable, good. That is he opened the letter with saying, as a white man, let me say this. Rodney Henson did not lose control. He finally took some back. So what I'm saying is, if we don't change the culture of policing in this country and we don't rein in a rogue president, you're going to see a lot of folk taking what they consider to be some modicum of justice in their own hands because there's no resolve in our judicial systems. When you can watch a black man be beat to death on camera and 12 white people can look at that film and then say they are not guilty of every count, there's something wrong with this system. And I do not care that there are black men because they did not care that they took the life of a black man because he had the gall to run from them. That was his crime that warranted a death sentence. We have to do something in this country. We have to do something. And if we do not, there'll be a lot more Luigis running around here who feel like systems aren't working. So they would rather be judged by 12 people than to be carried by 6 people. There are people that's going to make that choice because we don't have systems in place to protect the humanity of all people. Y'all stay tuned. Up next for the Front Porch, we're grilling the Kimber. But as far as the Good Morning Show, we going to see y'all tomorrow. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.